Last Pint Productions presents the New Way podcast. The New Way contains adult content and is recorded in advance. The following episode was originally recorded on April 22nd, 2021. Listener discretion is advised.
So you were in Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah?
Were you in the shit?
Yeah, I was in the shit.
Last night, Darth Vader came down from planet Vulcan and told me that if I didn't take Lorraine out, that he'd melt my brain.
Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Everybody wants to be naked and famous. Everybody wants to be just like me, I'm naked.
Will you help teach me about this? What is it? A new way?
Hello and welcome to the New Way podcast, where we break down pop culture so you do not have to. I'm your host, Matt Shank, joined by my co-host, Mr. Benjamin Wilson.
What's up? What's up?
Don't ever, no, just no. I'm not gonna allow that to slide at all. We are here to entertain you, and we are.
I don't know what I did wrong, Matt.
We've brought a couple of friends along. We have, of course, Mr. Super Fans, both of them, Ryan Alexander Hamilton.
Ahoy, hoy.
And Patrick, I tried to kill the people that create the things I love in a drinking game, Barrett. How you doing, Patrick?
I'm great. I'm shocked you brought me back, you masochist.
We're not playing the game. That's the rule.
At what point can I get out of this dungeon that is the super fan room? Like,
Yeah, I don't think that he.
I
think Ryan is now a contributor.
Well,
I was
a real microphone.
Like, can I at least be special? Yeah, you sent me a microphone, so I'm at least a special guest.
Well, thanks for blowing the whole reveal that I had set up here, Mr. I'm a part of the show. You should probably know when I'm trying to tee up something. But yes, we are actually graduating one of our super fans today to regular contributor. So you are now Ryan Alexander Hamilton, regular contributor with your own fancy USB microphones. So cheers to you.
Cheers.
And Patrick,
Cheers.
if you don't kill us and
water.
you do well on enough shows, you can too be a regular contributor.
You said a drinking word, cheers, at the beginning of the show. I'm terrified now.
I am. Yeah. Do not play the game while you are on the show. We've learned that this is a terrible idea. Even
and it makes for terrible content.
It's also. I notice Ben has a much better memory of the rules each show and kind of calls things up. They went in one ear and out for me for the most part, because I think if I actually had to concentrate on rules and attempt to run this thing, I couldn't.
You were just
I just
pressing
couldn't.
the horn.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was just a lot of DJ Airhorn that episode, but
DJ Airhorn is
and
a good DJ name.
One concert isn't just a lot of DJ Airhorn.
DJ Airhorn is the worst DJ at any party. Guaranteed, DJ Airhorn is the worst.
Bam, bam, bam.
I thought about loading that for this episode, and I said no, I can't.
No.
We all have PTSD.
It's done.
It's like
PTSD
Pavlov's dogs. I hear it and I
setting your
freak out.
text message notification from your dog, or from your from your boss as the air horn. And so, like, when we got into that podcast, I was like, oh.
The next time, if we ever do that again, the next time it'll just be the sound of the goat screaming. You know.
yeah. That episode still will haunt me.
I just want to be the sound of a goat.
I recommend going back to old episodes, playing the game. Let's not do it live again. That was a hoot.
Yeah. It was a one-time thing.
Well, my favorite episodes are the first 32, because those are really good. unironically. No, I didn't shit on them. I said they were good. I did the opposite of the thing.
I got 1 inch.
God damn.
Right there.
That's the drop I need right there. I got 1 inch. You lucky bastard. So yeah, we have a lot of episode ahead of us. And lest I anger the drinking game gods, I won't go directly into our main topic for the night too quickly. I know that this
referencing
is
the drinking game is going to be.
Oh, that will definitely be a drinking rule.
Finish your beer. Jesus Christ.
Well, the main thing that we need to address right here at the moment, other than Ryan being upgraded to contributor, regular contributor, not full time, is
irregular contributor,
is the soon to be immortal classic Mortal Kombat is going to be streaming tomorrow. Who is going to be watching the Mortal Kombat movie tomorrow? I see a show of hands of Ben and Ryan. Patrick's waiting till the Sabbath.
I'm waiting for the empty house to for the blood and guts.
He's waiting for when the Academy Awards are on Sunday night to watch.
You wait for the empty house to watch Mortal Kombat.
That's what I was waiting for that joke.
Alley-oop.
Everyone's out of the house. Time for Mortal Kombat.
Stockton and Malone right there.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I don't know that I'm have time to watch it until probably next week. So you guys are gonna have to tell me how your initial thoughts on it. I will be the only time I have tomorrow is going to be devoted to watching the finale of Falcon and Winter Soldier, which has just been amazing.
So that's 1 hour.
Yes.
Well, we are we're either going to watch The Father or we're watching Mortal Kombat. So I think that's because The Father's the Oscar movie we haven't watched yet.
So either the Anthony Hopkins Oscar
nomination. The Oscars this year, like I guess it's due to COVID, like not going to movie theaters like as a regular thing.
Yeah.
Just I really haven't seen. Most years I've seen 80% of the Best Picture movies before it's even announced, and now like I don't even know what they are.
Yeah.
I'm with you. What's really sad is that I usually look forward to Oscar season because they release the screeners on the torrent sites like in January. So I download a bunch of like really good Oscar nominated movies at that time. But it's weird. Like I now have that ability to do that legally and just stream movies that are coming out in time for the Oscars, and I just didn't get around to many. Like I'm gonna plow through. That's the other reason I'm probably not gonna watch Mortal Kombat. Is I want to try to get another 2 or 3 Oscar movies over the next day or so. And I'm driving. I'm gonna be driving up to Ohio, and I will be in Ohio for the Oscars.
Ohio.
So that'll be fun. But
I like that you addressed that like it was a planned trip for I'm going to be in Ohio for the Oscars. I hear they throw a great party.
Listen, when I think Oscars, I think Akron.
Me and Drew Carey are going to watch it.
Yeah.
For all the listeners, I'll be at this bar.
You just
all 5 of you.
You just gave your exact age without giving your exact age. And then your one Ohio reference is Drew Carey. That is fantastic.
I mean, that's not the only one. It's just the one I went with. It was the funniest.
This is true. Now, Patrick, I have a question for you. Having come up with this drinking game and now being on the show, Patrick is looking at a shiny object somewhere off screen right now, or a butterfly.
Welcome to Patrick's world.
I'm curious. This is your second show now. And you've listened to it for a long time and you play the drinking game. What is it? Do you have a different appreciation or respect or lack of respect for the show after kind of seeing a little bit behind the curtain on it?
Go on, Ben.
Well, I was just going to say, what's it like because I feel like it's probably the glamour era. It's not nearly as fun once you see how the sausage is made.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I say that to new employees whenever we hire them at the company I work at. It's first off, thank you for inviting me back. This blue collar film connoisseur. You film school elites. You've ruled the podcasts and bringing in the blue collar film fans.
They figure
who normally sees 80% of the Oscar movies, like the rest of the blue
you
collar.
And Nick, one of you will have a good internet connection in California.
Yeah, so I already know, I know the topic. And when you presented the topic to me, I was like, no, I want to listen to that. I don't want to partake in that. Why are you inviting me to this? And like for about a week, I was like, I need to get out of this. I need to get out. Like, I just want to listen to this. Like, I am a fan of the show. So I got like a little earworm in my head about like my submission. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll play. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. I really I really like you guys.
It's funny. He texted me. He texted me after you sent us what the topic was going to be, and he's like, "This is kind of intimidating." And I was like, "Here's the thing: once you realize that none of it matters, and you literally, if you say one thing, anybody else will take over and they'll fill in. Like you literally, it's just we're throwing out bullet points, and somebody else is gonna interrupt you. Like it doesn't." You never get to all the talking points that you have.
That was my big, that was my big takeaway. Is this like, do not get married on like your special bullet points, like special bullet points.
I think we should explain what the actual episode is about because I have some questions about the parameters.
Yes, we'll get there in just a sec. I kind of want to hit
never
this.
Been on the show before,
yeah,
come on.
We'll hit that in just a second.
He was just referencing it.
So what's really interesting is I sensed there were some nerves on Patrick's side, and he had texted
trying to referee at the exact same time.
he had texted asking some questions and some pointers, and I thought it made me chuckle a little bit because very similar to what Ryan is saying there is that you're gonna learn that I came up with the idea, and I probably will have the worst ones of it. Same as I'm really bad at the pitch, the movie pitch. I'm really bad at the movie pitch game, but I love that. I love to do those episodes because I mainly just like to hear everybody else's shit, and I got to get over the fact that mine is not good. Like mine is not going to be the funniest one or the most interesting one. And it's always somebody else. It's like Paul or Ryan or somebody that's on like guesting on the show that winds up usually delivering the funniest thing in that content.
Any sort of like Roadhouse musical.
Roadhouse.
Which Roadhouse was on TV this weekend, and I watched and thought it would be better if it was a musical.
Genius.
So our we discussed this topic actually on the Drinking Game podcast originally. But I had this idea. I was watching the movie Money Plane with my brother. And
money, please. Yeah. All I can think of anytime you say money plane.
money,
please.
I got it in my head that it would be like, what if a really good director got a hold of the concept?
What if a guy fucked an alligator?
that was my original idea. Why is this not on YouPorn where I can watch a dude fuck an alligator while Frasier narrates, like with his little
brand new microphone? Almost got beer.
Hey, you got Ryan pretty good on that one.
I was not expecting somebody to fuck an alligator this early in the show.
I was like, well, if Christopher Nolan was directing this thing, you'd see a guy fucking alligator, like, and it would be brutal, like, and it'd be happen all backwards.
What?
But like, yeah, the idea was
like, alligator backwards.
Yeah, you spell it differently. It starts with an R. Anyway, that's it.
It would be Arnold Schwarzenegger, and afterwards he'd go, "You're luggage."
Yes. So yeah, the idea was, what if you took a really terrible movie, but you gave it a good director who took the general idea of it and cast it and shot it and plotted it differently based on their style. And then the reverse, which is what Ben had suggested, which is you take a much lauded movie and you take a maybe lesser or not quite as astute director.
Or poorly matched.
Or poorly matched. That's another good way to put it. So that was
feel better about this now.
Yeah,
we've got poorly matched.
Yeah, so that was
because here's the thing I want to bring up. Before we get into parameters, because I actually had some questions about it myself. But
it's a great time to ask those questions.
I think it's really funny because I felt kind of shitty after that, because then I was just like, okay, pick a good movie and give it a bad director, and I'm like, how many people are actually bad directors? Like, how many?
You
like,
of all people,
No,
I'm sure.
But it's the same sports argument of like, there's a terrible Major League Baseball player. Guess what? He's still a Major League Baseball player. Like,
exactly.
he's terrible in this zone. He's still the top 2% of performers in this industry in the world.
And here's the thing: there are tons of people I consider like that could be potentially shitty directors, but they're not going to be like. They're not going to be people that everybody knows. You know, like I could say it's just a random person.
It'd be a terrible director.
Who was the guy who directed Dirty Cop No Donut? Here in South Florida. So I mean, like that's what I'm saying. It's like if we're talking about something that people know, I mean, you could throw out an Uwe Boll or you could throw out a Paul W.S. Anderson or whatever you want to. I mean, there are people who are they get made fun of sometimes. But even Uwe Boll, like, there's still some competency in like the movies that he makes and whatever. So I'm just like, I don't know.
I agree. I had a similar stutter when I kind of was actually getting into this and saying it really is more of like, it's not even a lesser director. It's just someone that's not the same level maybe, or I think a mismatch is a good way to describe it.
Except for what I chose, because the what I chose is absolutely. It's an indictment on the person who made the movie.
Coming hot.
What's funny is one of mine, the one I picked that is the not good director is a director I'm a big fan of, but I recognize that they are not what you would consider a great director, especially for the material I'm going to match.
I see what you're saying.
I'd like to add a quick interjection, as I noticed Patrick left us quickly. For a brief second.
Patrick just disappeared.
Patrick, the first pro move I can tell you is have your replacement beers locked and loaded, just right next to you. Like, don't. Yes. There's no going back and forth to the fridge.
I'll be right back then.
Yeah, have a little cooler.
I'll be right back.
Just have a little cooler. Just ready to roll.
Nice. I like that you're on with that one, Ryan. That's a good one.
It's a pro move. Because I walked away from my computer so many times with earphones in that I just. There's no leaving once I'm here.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'd be amazed how many times I've peed in my computer chair.
So here was my kind of big question as a qualifier for this conversation is that when we say that this is a good movie that's being directed by a bad director or a bad movie that's being made better by a good director, are all bets off? Like the script can be changed, the cast can be changed, like everything basically from the ground up can be changed.
I kind of you'll notice, those of you who listen to the podcast for a while, for a long time we made these like very strict rules, and I've found it's more interesting when I just kind of let people interpret it themselves and kind of figure out what they want to pitch. So for example,
let Bartlett be Bartlett.
Yeah. For mine, I wasn't really sure of like what the format should be for how do I pitch this or what do I do. So I decided to do mine similar to how we did the minor character breakdown, where I'm going to pitch you a lengthy, like I'm in a pitch meeting doing this thing. You all can start guessing as I'm going through what is the property or what is the director. Now, this is a lot, unlike the side character movie.
No, let them do it.
These are pretty easy.
I'm just saying, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I'm not going to do
it. No,
you
guys do not have to. And you're going to know what I'm talking about. So I'll maybe ask you to hold your guesses until a little bit later. I think you'll know very quickly what I'm doing on both of these. But that was just the idea I had for how to kind of present mine. You guys can present however you want. I did some casting choices. I did some plot changes and
are they questionable casting choices?
They're accurate casting choices based on the Helmer of the film that I picked.
I'll let it go.
You'll allow
I started to intimidate myself a little bit listening to the latest release because y'all are talking about some cinematographers and stuff. I'm like,
I'm like that during a lot of that podcast too. So
y'all were talking. I'm just like, these words are weird.
Janusz Kaminski.
We acid washed some films. I don't. What? Is that like
the bleach bypassing. I learned that before 5 minutes before that episode. I also learned that Janusz Kaminski has an accent on the N.
See,
I don't understand
from like
that.
2013.
His name has an accent on the N. I've never seen an accent on on a.
I loved him
consonant.
in Perfect Strangers.
It is funny. Giannis is from Mypos as well. That is true.
Don't be ridiculous.
So we can draw straws for order, or do you want to kick it off, Ben, or you want me to kick it off? What are you feeling?
I can kick it off.
All right.
Here's what I figured. Are we going to do a round robin on one of these and then do a round robin on the next?
Yes.
So which are we starting with? Are we starting with a very bad movie?
Whichever one you want to start with, Ben, I think.
You want to start with that? The other one's funnier for me. But the bad movie, or what I consider a bad movie, that was going to be made better by a better director.
Okay.
Okay. Well, so there is a film that, and I'm going to let you guys guess it. Because if I start explaining the plot, you're going to know what it is. No one knows.
Yeah. Okay.
It's pre-code, guys.
It's no. So that we grew up, I would just say we all grew up in the period that we likely saw this movie, either in the theaters or immediately after it came on video.
Jurassic Park
was completely panned by critics. However, got a huge following. Many of people who then later kind of over time were saying it was one of the more underrated and one of the scariest movies ever made.
Dunstan checks in.
Yes. No,
so.
it's not Dunstan checks
so.
in. It's a science fiction film. Any guesses yet?
Event Horizon.
Event Horizon. Event Horizon is a fucking terrible movie. It is absolutely god fucking awful.
And it's terrifying.
Ben
it's absolutely
hates
terrifying.
Event Horizon more than almost anything
That's not a
in the
load-bearing
world.
structure.
So here's the
If
thing.
Ben had a choice to kill Hitler or stop Event Horizon from being made, Hitler would not be watching Event Horizon this week.
Well, so here's there are a couple of reasons why I don't like Event Horizon. First off, I actually like the concept of Event Horizon a lot. I like the overall overarching plot point, which is that basically, a spaceship goes to investigate another spaceship, which the captain of that spaceship had originally designed, but then it turns out that there's like basically an alien wormhole thing that's basically creating a parallel dimension, or basically a gateway to hell, and it's making everybody go crazy. And it's a very cool sort of overarching concept.
That's like the whole plot of the video game Doom.
Well, so yes, it's very close to that. But here's the other thing is that it kind of revolves around this alien sort of rotating obelisk thing. Like it's very, very reminiscent of Sphere. Now, the movie Sphere came out after Event Horizon, ironically. However, the book Sphere came out in the 80s and was one of my favorite science fiction books.
Terrible movie, great book.
Terrible movie, directed by Barry Levinson, good director.
Terribly cast as well.
Terribly cast movie. But anyways, it's kind of funny that basically I would call Event Horizon Sphere in space. The cast is great. Great cast. I love almost every member of that cast. Great character actors: Jason Isaacs, Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill. I mean, pretty much the cast top to bottom. But it's all of the details that go in between. The dialogue is awful. The plot points are awful. The characterizations are awful. The direction, just top to bottom, outside of the visuals, is just fucking awful. So I was like, how about you just take the structure of that and you take somebody who understands mood and atmosphere and understands what real psychological terror can
don't
be.
Say aliens. Don't
by
say
being
it.
quiet.
Don't
No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I'm thinking modern. Okay, so there are two directors, I think, today who are kind of reinventing horror.
Okay.
One would
Ari
be
Aster or
Ari Aster. And who would the other be?
Oh, it's the one I was confused with Ari Aster that did the other movies that are not Ari Aster.
The director of The Witch, the director of The Lighthouse, Robert Eggers, who does very slow psychological burns. Because the problem with Event Horizon is
Black Phillip going to be on Event Horizon?
Absolutely.
That would
Black
be
Phillip is going to show up.
terrifying.
Like,
a goat in space.
Why is there a goat in space?
Imagine when Lawrence Fishburne starts that video, where they see all the people like ripping their own eyes out, and you just see Black Phillip like dancing around and stuff like that. Oh yeah, fuck yeah, that's what it is. But here's the thing: I'm fine keeping the cast. I'm fine keeping it back in the '90s, keeping even the cast except for the one dude who is awful,
Jack Noseworthy. I know who it is.
Yeah. It's I don't. Anyways, if you've seen the movie, you probably
and the movie
know
is
who the
directed.
person-
We should say the original film was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, director of Mortal Kombat.
Over here.
Yeah,
director of
The new one
Mortal
or the
Kombat?
old one?
the old one.
The old one. He was also the director of Resident Evil. He was the director of Shopping, which was his big thing.
And he produced the Three Musketeers. I don't know if he directed. That.
He's done a bunch of bad movies. He has been married to Mila Jovovich for like 20 years now.
So he's doing a lot better than me.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. Which is why she's in all of his movies. But yeah, he's a terrible director. But anyways, that was my
I love that Ben
thought.
started this thing with there are no bad directors, and then immediately is like, I picked a movie by a terrible director.
I'm qualifying because I actually, you know what? I'm qualifying again because I actually kind of like the first Resident Evil movie. I don't think it's that bad. But anyways, I just imagine like Event Horizon without the cheesy jump scares and loud noises and just making it. And then here's the thing.
I don't want to live in that world.
Make it entire.
I just saw Ryan audibly flinch when you said
make
that.
It black and white. Black and white. Event Horizon in black and white. Slow burn. Completely psychological, and then it all builds to that last point at the very end where everything just goes completely off the rails, and you get all the body horror and things like that at the end. And that's
I
what
like.
I
think you should have it in a different language too. It should be like Dutch, and so you can't understand really what's going on. But then Black Phillip shows up, and you're like, well, this is scary in any language.
Yeah.
Are you able to say this 30 years removed, seeing that like Ari has, like, those directors have created that new genre of horror, or do you think that was possible back in the 90s? Well, was that possible?
That's
in the
literally
90s?
what we're doing.
No, you're right, Ryan. But in the 90s,
you're asking for the realistic version of this. But here's the thing: that there were types of that. Like I would argue that what Ari Aster and what those guys, like the modern horror guys nowadays, are doing with Rob Eggers is more akin to what they were doing in the early 70s, which was slower burn stuff with like The Exorcist and The Omen and things along those
and
lines.
And also very Lynchian, like David Lynch feeling
and
shit.
Very strange Lynchian stuff. So it's more of like, it's not like, it is definitely, they have unique voices for sure. I've never seen quite anything like them.
We got into a 90s fad of just throw stuff on screen and jump scares.
I mean, we still have that. I mean, we
still
were in
do
a
that.
Paranormal Activity launched a lot of shit that's the same. You're always going to have schlock horror, and you're always going to have horror that's unsettling, mood, atmospheric stuff. It's never going to be as popular. It's never the hit. Like, The Witch wasn't a huge hit. It was a really good movie that a lot of people saw, but it wasn't.
What's the one that just came out not too long ago? It Follows.
Yeah.
That was directed by a guy who was at FSU Film while we were there. He was a master student.
Benjamin Effortless.
No, I'm just saying. No,
I recently watched that. It was enjoyable.
It's a good flick.
That was enjoyable. It was one of those that I wish I would like. I think everybody should have seen it on a big screen.
But actually, that wasn't me saying it, because this is actually really cool. So the guy who shot that movie, his name is Mike Giolakis. He was not in film school. He kept applying. He applied for 3 straight years and never got in. But he just worked on everybody's films. So by the time he left FSU with like a communications degree, he had worked on like more film sets than most of the people who were in film school had, and it made so many friends. He moved to LA. Started shooting stuff like that, got the huge break with It Follows. He shot every single M. Night Shyamalan film since then.
Wow.
Every single, he shot Split, he shot Glass. He shot all of that stuff. So he's like made now basically, because he's a really good visual artist.
Awesome.
But I think it's funny that he was not in film school. He worked on my like F3 music video. It's just crazy.
I was going to say, that's a music video. He only used 4.3 seconds worth of film.
There you go.
Probably did.
Well done. Very nice callback.
Cute.
Would either of you gentlemen like to go next, or do you want to still keep watching for a bit?
Patrick, you feeling it?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
All right,
Yeah,
let's
Patrick.
do it. Let's hear it.
All right. So, this came inspired from a text message thread from a good friend of mine.
Hi.
You know her. It's Brooke.
I love Brooke.
Hi, Brooke.
Yeah. So
Me
so
too.
Welcome to the
Yeah.
show, Brooke.
Brooke's great people. She's
Brooke
going to listen.
Does
to
she
this.
listen? Oh,
She
she's gonna
will.
listen to this
She
one.
will. She will. I gave her episode 75 to start off with.
Oh God. Good. She can think even less of me.
Ooh. So I like space. I like space stuff. And Brooke texts me and another friend an article about how Mars, the planet, doesn't have a very thick atmosphere, and that's due to the magnetic sphere, magnetic field of Mars being very weak compared to Earth. And she said, "Hey guys, like when humans get here, what are we gonna do? There's like, there's no magnetic field, and the atmosphere is like shot. Like, is it even worth it?" This is very Brooke.
You guys are having very deep conversations in
Wow.
these text
Oh, yeah.
threads.
Oh, we like to talk. We like to talk about the world. and
These
things.
people like to go to Burning Man. You have no idea.
There's
what they talk
got to
about.
be some devil's lettuce
Dude.
involved in these conversations, because I've never
Dude.
said the word magnetic field to anyone in text.
Well, she
and-
was intrigued. She saw an
Okay.
article about like humans are going to go here. They're not going to be protected like they are on Earth, and that's disturbing. And so she asked like myself, like, what are we going to do? Like, what's the deal? And for the next half an hour, I just describe essentially the plot of The Core. And she doesn't pick up on it, which makes it great. And my buddy Chris is in this text message, and we are just going back and forth, just being like, well, it's pretty straightforward. Like,
Hey, Aaron Eckhart got to eat. Stanley
Yeah.
Tucci got to eat.
yeah, we got like, it's pretty straightforward, Brooke. Like we drill
Brooke.
into the core. And like the problem is that the core is not spinning. So you need to have the iron, you need to have it spinning to create this magnetic field. And it's really simple. Like, and she's like, "How do you know this?" It's like, well, we've done it on Earth.
Sounds
we
super simple.
And we just describe, well, you have to get a Earth submarine made of unobtainium, and you have to drill it into the Earth, and
As
then
you do.
you do, and you have to set off bombs,
Yeah.
nuclear bombs, to restart
Nuclear.
the core. Nuclear.
This
bombs.
is A-level trolling.
You
I've
got to take
say.
a little rest stop in a geode.
Yes, you do. And
Fight
in
upside
that-
down King Kong.
in that vein, we decided that The Core, like jokingly, is a documentary, and it describes how we're going to handle Mars. So, in that vein, I'm going to say The Core is a bad movie, but
How
I'm going to
dare
say
you.
it's a documentary, and it is directed by Werner Herzog.
Oh, yes. I'm so on board for this.
I want to watch it right
And
now.
hopefully he's like the camera person. He's actually on the
He
core
has to
ship.
be narrating this movie.
Yes.
Absolutely,
Oh,
he is.
yes.
Like he
We're
is.
4 days into the mission. Despair is starting to set in. We haven't seen the lights of.
Fear of it, we're never going to
4
meet at the
days.
core and make it there ourselves.
We're
Yes.
2 movies in, and we've already taken a turn I had never seen. Like, you made a documentary now.
We may be forced to eat Stanley Tucci if it gets too hot in the core. We'll see what is happening.
This is the previously untold story which humanity has taken for granted.
Why is
But
he
damn,
not
that's
Schwarzenegger?
No,
never
that's a
noticed.
really
No,
good.
Patrick has got it.
That
man.
is dead on.
Blind and mute to the surgery performed to Mother Earth. Humans
Anything happens, you need to get to the chopper.
that stopped her heart would have no choice but to make it beat again.
This
Did you pick this just so you could do that impersonation.
No, I watched 3 movies when I picked it up.
That was
I
amazing.
hope one of them was Jack Reacher.
It wasn't, but I've seen that. I like that movie.
In Siberia.
in Siberia when I was lost my fingers.
So the gangrene.
So that was the thing, is that like so he loves to reference his previous films, his previous documentaries in anything he does, and he's done a
Like
lot.
Matthew Shank.
He's done a lot of volcano and magma documentaries, and he keeps going back. And then he had a documentary called The Cave of Forgotten Dreams. So
I saw that one.
Yeah,
That's my bad.
so yeah, that's my take, is that like
love it.
it'd be the exact same story as the original for the most part, minus the Destiny weapon, and because that looked like something out of Command and Conquer. So yeah, they would enter through a volcano rather than the Mariana Trench, because Herzog loves volcanoes. It's already open, and
A Martian volcano.
Well, no, this is
So
about
it's still
Earth.
gonna happen on Earth. Still gonna happen.
Oh, he's still doing that. We're still doing
this
that.
is about this is the core on Earth.
This is the
Documentary.
documentary
As a
Patrick
documentary.
watched to teach his friend about how we will survive Mars.
Okay. Right.
I kind of want that guy to remake Congo as a documentary now, or Anaconda.
It's called Conjo. You sound silly when you mispronounce it like that.
One key aspect about him filming this is that he does not care about the outcome in any way. He does not care about the success. All he does is he just shoves the concept of like humans are a virus, and constantly asks about the art and about the humanity nonstop. Does not care if it's going to be successful. So when they run into problems and they have to like draw straws on who's going to do what, he says, "I will sit to the side." Like,
Nice.
and Mother Earth, she will handle this. We will die or we will not. Just things like that.
This is next level, man.
I couldn't have said it better, Ben.
I give up.
It's amazing.
All right, Patrick, you got it from here. Bye. I'm logging off.
He really is the captain now.
Yeah.
No, Werner Herzog is the captain.
Classic undersell and over deliver. I'm impressed. I love it.
All right, so should Ryan or you go next, Matt?
What do you want? You want to go, Ryan?
Ryan, you go.
Ryan.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we doing? So we're doing bad movies with
Bad
great
movie,
directors?
good director.
Okay. So I really struggled with this entire concept, but this is the first one that I came up with. Patrick, you'll respect this. I generally will think, what would Dave do? So
He would make a list. You'd write it down.
He would make a list. I didn't make a list, but I really thought of what bad movie do I love? Because that's like, I don't really care anything about bad movies that I don't like. It's where's the fun in that? So I went back to this Armageddon.
Armageddon.
I'm so happy.
I don't want to miss a thing.
So how are you categorizing this? You're categorizing it as a bad movie?
This is
No,
bad
he's
movie.
going
I'm
to
not
take
picking
a
Armageddon.
good director and make a great movie even better because it's Armageddon.
Yes, this is an Armageddon. Okay. So I landed on
Deep Impact. No, I'm just joking. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'll stop
obviously we took
Ben,
Armageddon,
if you had to pick
made
one,
it better,
If you had to pick one,
and then we're gonna
as
make the
bad
better
or
version
good,
of
is it
Armageddon better.
Deep Impact or
Okay, I'll stop cutting you off now. Go ahead.
No, you won't. So, all that to say, I landed on the college favorite of mine and Dave's, which is 2001's The Wash.
The Wash.
The Wash.
The Wash.
What is that?
I love Matthew's face. It is the classic buddy comedy with Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre as roommates. They work one of them works at a car wash. They have one of them loses their job and they can't pay rent. So it's a classic mix of like the responsible, has a job, kind of has his stuff together guy, which is Dr. Dre. And then the stoner loser that can't ever keep a job and can't ever pay rent in Snoop Dogg. The best part about The Wash, and I actually just learned this today is that it was originally directed by DJ Pooh,
I was just about to say.
which is Red from Friday.
Yes. Written and directed by DJ Pooh.
Directed by DJ Pooh. This, I mean, listen to this cast, and I'm not changing the cast on this at all. Like, the cast is so perfect. It's obviously Dr. Dre and Snoop, Eminem, Ludacris, Shaquille O'Neal, Exhibit, Pauly Shore, Bruce. Tell me this cast isn't immaculate.
Need I say more?
That's one word for it. Yes.
Is it streaming?
So-
How do I look this up?
I think. Oh no, I don't have the DVD. Somebody gave me the DVD as a birthday present years ago, and it got lost in Harvard.
George Wallace is in it.
Rest in peace. George Wallace is. He'll be mentioned. He's the owner / manager. So basically, the premise is Dr. Dre loses his job. Snoop Dogg works at the car wash, and he convinces Dre to come and get a job at the car wash. He becomes the assistant manager. He catches his buddy Snoop stealing and is in that predicament of, do I fire him? Do I help him get better? George Wallace, as the manager, lets him know that it's his responsibility, and it causes a rift between the roommates. They struggle. Well, during this struggle, George Wallace is kidnapped by some local ne'er-do-wells. And in that kidnapping, Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre have to come together and save their boss. Now, it's great. So that's kind of the premise. Obviously, in the end, they're still friends. They walk away into the sun.
Because they came together. That bonds two men.
So when I think about this movie, and I'm like, okay, DJ Pooh, obviously an elite director, but you have to find better. So the first thing that I could think of was Jordan Peele.
Oh.
I'm listening.
So it's kind of like M. Night Shyamalan at this point. You know this is going to be a deeper thing at this point. There's no deeper level to The Wash in its current situation. It literally just a stoner buddy comedy with some conflict. Now, in my head, again, cast is exactly the same. There's no changes. The Peele twist, I think, is like there's essentially through saving their boss, they find out that you find out in The Wash, there's a lot of ex-cons and, people with less than great backgrounds working there already. So my first thought was, given current climate, The Wash is now a cover for a government scheme to keep their for-profit prisons stocked with prisoners.
Wow. Wow. I like this.
Through saving the manager, they find out. They basically discover this plot from the government. And it is this underground scheme to keep the prisons fully loaded. And that's the, us and like that's the Jordan Peele twist to the scenario.
I thought you were going to do like the David Fincher, The Game twist, where it was like, oh no, the manager kidnapped himself and was like putting them through these tests or whatever, so they could,
I thought you were going to say they were washing people to like whitewash them, and that was going to be the outcome. But I like your premise best of all three of those.
That would have been good.
No, I know the prison. That's a very Jordan Peele, like hardcore,
exactly
thematic thing to lean into really hard. I like that a lot.
In my head, I'm like, do I want to touch on this topic? Like, is this? But then you think Jordan Peele, like that's where he's gonna go with it.
Yeah,
I
like it, man.
That's the direction it goes. And
sign me up.
That's kind of what I went with was the Rotten Tomato ratings, and this was like 8%. Like The Wash is 8%, but I guarantee you I could call my buddy Dave right now and he'd be like, yeah, let's watch it. It's so dumb funny. And it sets up perfectly for the Jordan Peele twist of like the first 45 minutes, first hour is stupid buddy comedy, and then all of a sudden it's the darkest thing you've ever seen.
And it's something that he would direct like now. And you would play that, you would play it exactly like it was 2001, because that's how it works, is to play it like it's this ridiculous, sketch. almost, and then all of a sudden, especially with the casting, and then to pull the rug out, I dig it. I like
Matt,
it, man.
let's get this in his ear. Let's get him on the podcast. Let's have him listen.
I've turned him down a couple of times. He is really just like really chatty, and I'm just like, hey man, like when we're ready for you, we'll bring you on when the topic's right. But it just hasn't been right yet.
Before we get him, I want Josh Gad doing Gadwell
Lane covers.
Josh Gadwell Lane.
I almost got drunk enough one night to request that from and I was like, this is a terrible use of my like one chance to befriend
by terrible
someone.
You mean fantastic.
You're not throwing away your shot.
I'm not throwing away my shot. Exactly. All right. So I'm gonna do mine here. Like I said, I'm just gonna run through this pitch. These are some scenes, some ideas how the movie opens,
this, but not out loud.
You don't have to. If as you start to, I think you're gonna know pretty quickly what's happening on some of these. But this is, and again, you're not gonna know who the director is or what the film is until we get to the end. So we open on downtown London. A man sweeps up outside a small bakery.
Mary Poppins.
He's not Mary Poppins. He is played by Andy Serkis. He makes small talk with passerbys who all seem to know him. He feeds scraps to a stray dog. A man sits at a table working on a laptop. A woman and her little girl approach. His eyes light up. The usual? Please, make it a double. The girl says something impossibly adorable in British. She notices a scratch on his face and asks him about it, and he delivers a beautiful 60-second monologue about eyes being the window to the soul and faces the vehicles they travel in over time. It's lovely. The man leaves in the background. By the time the baker notices, the man has disappeared. Mister, bloke forgot his bag. The little girl approaches it and says she'll bring it to the baker. She reaches for it and we hear an explosion. We cut to a wide shot and see the explosion in real time. It's horrific. The building is blown to tiny pieces which fly at the screen. Vin Sage, played by Christian Bale, wakes up in a cold sweat. The explosion still rings in his ears. He shakes it off, kisses his wife, and heads downstairs to make breakfast. He's joined by his wife and teenage daughter. The wife asks if he's still having these bad dreams. He brushes it off, makes a joke that cracks up the family. They're having a great time. He tells her not to worry. Hasn't everything between them been better lately? She agrees. He says he's heading into work. She kisses him goodbye and says, have a good day, V. Cut to a bullet tearing through flesh. A woman cries out. A small boy falls to the ground. A scream wakes up Mark the Mug Milligan, played by Tom Hardy. He, too, is having a nightmare. It's one he's had before, and the scream is his own. His bunkmate yells at him, and we see he's in a prison cell. Guards announce it's lunchtime, and he gets in line with the other prisoners. He sees his brother up ahead, played by Cillian Murphy. His brother's being weird with him and has been for a few days, but he can't figure out why. He asks him about what I heard something. I don't know what I heard. It's probably wrong. He asks his brother about a job they were working on when he got picked up, and his brother's being cagey with him. But eventually he reveals that it's all in play. The job will go off in 1 week at the local bakery. Mug reveals he's got a plan of his own to get them out. Cut to V. Sage. The worst joke I have in this whole thing that I will still have to explain at the end. V. Sage is washing his face in a mirror. He pulls down his eyelid, looking at his reflection strangely. He's pulling at the skin when his partner walks in and says he has a tip-off, something going down at the jail. It involves the man who killed his son, Mug Milligan. V shows up at the prison and he locks eyes with Milligan, and the whole room freezes. We zoom into V's eye, and we're in the aftermath of the explosion. Then the explosion reverses. The bakery rebuilds itself, but instead of just going back to the scene, we go further back. We're going back in time. We're moving quick backwards. We're moving through the city. We zoom back into V's eye, and we see reflected in it Mug Milligan, but not standing in front of him, lying down on a gurney. Michael Caine appears and explains that the process will be dangerous and painful. V explains that he's prepared for this. It's no crazier than the work they do at the Bureau's underground H.G. Wells division. Not time travel exactly, more the ability to undo certain single moments in time. And after all, this little girl is going to be very important in the future. A robot arm lowers onto Mug's face and begins surgically cutting around it. V lays down in a gurney beside him. It's the only way to stop him. I must become him. This is Christopher Nolan's Visage. which is a remake of Face Off.
Face Off. But that's Patrick called it. Yeah,
He did. He got the Face Off pretty quick into that.
Love me some Face Off.
I mean,
the kid gets shot by a sniper.
I mean, Christian Bale and Tom Hardy going tete-a-tete in the Face Off. I'm a fan
That'd
of
be
this.
great.
I
That'd
like
be
this. I like this.
I mean,
I'm not sure I love Nolan's Face Off.
But
I like that your pitch was perfectly Nolan.
He kept talking about explosions, and I thought it was going to be Michael Bay's Face Off.
Great director.
I went
Great
lateral.
director.
I just took a
I've already
completely
seen-
lateral move.
Christian Bale, Tom Hardy, Face Off.
You're like John Woo, Michael Bay. One of them directed The Killer, so
Yeah, so that's how I did it. That's
fine.
Christopher Nolan's, and of course the main character's name is Vin Sage.
You can totally edit out my spoiler.
No, I'm glad. I was
opening-
excited to see someone get it.
the opening portion. Of
I
that,
listen, Matt. I listen.
The opening portion of that was very strangely similar to the opening of the Untouchables. And I was
It's
just like, what-
completely
what
The Untouchables. I ripped the entire scene from it. Are you kidding me? Other than the fact that he delivers the monologue, which is the Nolan bit, that he has to have a
Right.
thing about faces in this opening scene before we know what the fuck's
Exposition.
going on. Yeah, it is 100%.
Except
the
you said it was Andy
Untouchables.
Serkis. You said it was Andy Serkis, but it would be Michael Caine.
No, Michael Caine's the
Michael-
doctor that's got to explain the
Michael
whole
Caine.
fucking
Michael
thing in
Caine.
midway through the movie.
I'll fight you.
Circus is just there for his monologue. Yeah, that's all he
Failed.
does. He's just he's a red
Failed, kid.
herring.
Some men just like to watch the world burn.
Kane has got to talk about the fucking H.G. Wells Bureau and explain to people how they cut faces off and make it sound real.
I really think you should switch Circus and Kane because you have Kane there at the beginning, just like in the procedure, he'd be like eyes are the window to the soul.
If I opened with Kane though, that would have been a dead giveaway.
I thought you were about to work
Creepy.
in.
Circus is like legitimately creepy saying that.
You would have just said Michael Caine, and we would have been like Christopher Nolan.
Listen, I went through a lot of false starts with this one.
An Andy Dwyer reference when you start talking about the eyes are the window to the soul. The eyes are the windows to the house.
Oh, very nice.
I had to Jetsons most of this banner as well.
All right, Benny.
So before we go into so what we're talking about is great movies that are going to be dragged completely through the mud by the other thing. But did anybody have any alternates? Because I will say that the one that I had was the movie Assassins, the 1995 Assassins, directed by Christopher McQuarrie.
Great butt scene by Mr. Stallone in that movie. Just letting you know.
Antonio Banderas.
Man.
And Juliette Moore. No, 'cause
Desperado would have been a great one to.
that's a great movie, though. See, Assassins is a bad movie, and famously, the Wachowskis left Hollywood for a while because the Wachowski siblings wrote that movie. And they left Hollywood and started like a construction firm because they hated what they brought in another screenwriter that butchered their script. Apparently,
Wow.
yeah. And
So he assassinated it.
Yeah, because they made Bound, and then they wrote that, and so they were like big in Hollywood or whatever, and then yeah, it's crazy. I got it. I'm just moving on past it.
It was very, very funny.
It's very, very funny.
Poor Ben is on a cleanse and can't have any beer tonight. So there's just, if you've noticed in the voice, there's just a slight edge. There's a slight edge to his voice tonight.
Matt's throwing this shade while drinking a bubbly.
Not near as much edge as when you kept hitting the DJ air horn.
Right.
I thought Ben was gonna jump through the screen at you.
Jesus Christ.
He was. You could feel the
I was like, oh, this is just a train wreck, and I'm just watching it crash over and over and over again.
Mom and Dad were having a fight at the dinner table, and nobody knew what to do.
Ben and I don't often go for the guttural or whatever, but when we do, we know when it's when to do it and make it really bad. So it's mutually assured destruction at any point.
So I really was tempted to do Uwe Boll's "There Will Be Blood" just because I think would be really funny. But no, I tried to do something a little bit different. So I was trying to think of kind of classics in a different context, or what are movies that are kind of untouchable or like hold a really important place in American culture. And so where I landed was I wanted to think about comedy and sort of the comedies that built like what we do today. And I think when I really wanted to start with satire, Mel Brooks, Blazing Saddles.
Wow.
I love Blazing Saddles. And
I
obviously
almost lost a $19 hand cart.
politically incorrect in all the best ways because it's satire. It allows itself to make fun of, like I love what Matt says always, because Mel Brooks movies work because they're always making fun of the people that are saying the despicable things. It's there in the subtext. And that's
I'm
why I was
so
saying
excited to see where you're going with this.
It's the classic you can always punch up
approach
to comedy.
Exactly.
And so I was thinking, okay, that's still a great subversive, fun film that is wonderful and well regarded. Who could destroy it and make it the most abhorrent, awful, worst?
Can I guess?
Possible you can.
Fun.
Is it Brett Ratner's Blazing Saddles?
Oh, no. See,
I almost did Brett Ratner for mine, so I just got really curious about that.
No. I mean, what has Brett Ratner really done in the comedy sector besides, Rush Hour?
3 Rush Hour movies made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Real racist.
Enough money to jerk off while eating shrimp and talking to Olivia Munn.
My favorite story ever. Okay, continue.
So anyways, but I was thinking, okay, parodies, satires have definitely taken some ups and downs through the years. There have been some really cool ones. There have been some really kind of drag ones. But there are 2 names that kind of bring the ire of the majority of the filmmaking community. And those names are Jason Friedberg and Aaron Seltzer. The makers of movies such as Epic Movie, Meet the Spartans,
the worst parody movies of all, the anti-Mel Brookses.
5, the movies that are possibly the worst common denominator of parody and satire films ever put to celluloid. And so here's my thought. Just so you missed it, I was talking about Aaron Seltzer and Jason Friedberg being awful people.
I was right here. I don't know what you're talking about. Continue.
Yeah, I was here too.
Patrick texted, said he had to go pee.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but anyways,
I don't know how you podcasters do this.
So you guys are really blowing the behind the scenes here for us.
But here is what is going to happen in this movie. It's going to be released. Original Blazing Saddles was never released. It's released in the late 2000s with all of the jokes except not self-referential. They're actually being serious with one of the Wayans brothers and the Cleavon Little Girls.
Oh man. Oh, this is gonna hurt. This is gonna really hurt.
I love it.
I can start going through. I mean, some of the people,
God.
I always at first I was thinking just because he was in Not Another Date movie or whatever, that was like Chris Evans could play Mongo. But
Not Another Teen Movie is not part of that whole other landscape of movies. So let's.
I think no. Not Another Teen Movie was not.
Yeah,
and neither was the first 2 Scary movies.
Exactly. Which the first 2 are. The first one is especially good. But yes.
Well, they were writers. They were writers on the first one.
Yeah.
But they started directing them on I think Scary Movie 4 or something along those lines, where everything was awful. But yeah, I still remember like the trailer for Meet the Spartans made me, I think, literally throw something in 2008 when that came out. Like I threw something across the room. But anyways, I think that here in this terrible reality where this is created, it's so overtly racist and awful that they get blackballed from Hollywood and they are never allowed to work on anything ever again.
Oh, but that's like
They take the Tropic Thunder approach and just miss it.
That's like a Sophie's choice. Do I either want to lose Blazing Saddles, but it also kills those guys' career in Hollywood forever, or do I get Blazing Saddles, but they have a career? That's a terrible decision to make.
It's a catch-22 for sure.
Shit.
But yeah,
Oh, man.
that's my
plays-
great movie, Dragged Through
love
the
it.
Mud.
I love it.
Who plays Madeline Kahn's part?
Elaine Boozler. That's for the kids because they're gonna know who that is. No, there's no reason for that joke other than it's a non sequitur.
I would say Anna Faris, but she's too good for it.
Yeah, that's not fair to her.
Wasn't
Lindsay
she in
Lohan. Lindsay
Scary
Lohan will
Movie?
play.
She's in most of the scary movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some unfortunately good actors that got stuck in those, and even Leslie Nielsen showed up, and like one of the last things he did was one of those terrible fucking movies. But yeah, those guys suck. Way to bring it down, Ben.
Sorry.
Wasn't that this whole segment?
This is true. Yeah,
Bringing movies down.
All right, Patrick.
let's hear it, Patrick.
Oh, well, okay. I'm going to take a great movie.
Patrick just went full Robin Williams. Oh, Mr. Happy.
Patrick's great movie is The Core.
Also The Core. Directed by Werner Herzog, but I'm going to have it directed by somebody else now.
But Werner Herzog will be in it, so
yes.
that Patrick can do.
He plays The Core.
So while The Core documentary was being directed by Werner Herzog, there was another director that was creating a documentary on top of that.
Oh,
no,
really?
I'm kidding.
Oh,
no.
I got excited for a second.
I'm going to take. Wow, that'd be Moveception.
Yeah.
Armageddon is a great movie.
Yes.
Oh, unquestionable. God. There's no person who disagrees with this. And so, Ben, I want to prove to you that Armageddon is a great movie. And I'm going to give it a bad director. A worse director than Michael Bay in 1990.
This is I think there's also a really good they do this a lot. They did this on Street Junkies. They used to do kind of like movie fight stuff, but I would like to see a trial, the Ben Wilson trial against Armageddon, where he is on the side of it as a bad movie and we defend it as the side of a good movie. But that's another show.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take the stance that it's a great movie, just for the sake of this exercise. Not
no problem
academics,
for me.
Just this exercise. And I'm going to give it the director of a 1999 George Lucas.
Prequel Heat George Lucas.
Mm-hmm. So George Lucas did.
Ben left.
I'm
out. So George Lucas did not want to do Star Wars in this alternate universe that we live in. He wanted to bring the themes, though, that he has been envisioning here to Earth. He does Armageddon instead of Bay, and instead of the Phantom Menace.
Wow.
All right. Harry is so I'm gonna because the Phantom Menace does not exist in this universe. Harry is Liam Neeson. Truman is Samuel L. Jackson. Was Billy Bob Thornton. Grace is Natalie Portman. AJ is Hayden Christensen. Schick, Ewan McGregor. Rockhound, still Steve Buscemi. General Kimsey is Ian McDermott. And the rest, I don't know.
I like the casting. I especially like Samuel L. Jackson in the Billy Bob Thornton role.
Hell yeah. So we're going to open. We're going to pan down to Earth from the side as the space shuttle moves from the shadow through sunrise to illumination. Astronauts are floating in space, doing work inside the shuttle.
Wait. It has to wipe to get to that transition.
Oh, we'll get to the weird transition.
No, he didn't get to the transition. We did the proper pan. He's on board.
I should have seen this coming because I got a text from Patrick last week that said, I got high and I'm watching Armageddon. I should have seen this coming a mile away.
That should have been your warning sign.
Name a female character in the movie other than Grace. All right, Patrick, continue.
No, really, no. I would like everybody to try this.
Yeah, there's the wife that briefly appears for Will Patton's character, but she's not on screen. And then there's the strippers with Buscemi.
The answer is Bunny the stripper.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I know this
I got
movie too
high
well.
and I'm watching Armageddon.
a pressure decay is noticed by the commander and asks the specialist to go check it. She goes to the compartment, closes the door, and holds a lightweight object up. It slowly moves to the wall. The specialist removes the object and observes a tiny hole. By the way, all of this is CGI except for the actor. All of it. There's a weird transition, wiping transition. Back up front, she describes this to the commander. He finds this disturbing and advises the specialist to relay this information to Houston for further investigation.
But he does that in an obviously racist accent, right? What? What did you say?
This is very confusing.
We must destroy all communications links down there. Sorry.
So, meanwhile, Grace, AJ, Bear,
The same
and
guy
Harry
that was in Short Circuit.
are having dinner hosting Chinese customers on the mainland. The Chinese say that Grace is very pretty and should be married. Harry politely, played by Liam Neeson, says that Grace will make a fine bride someday, but oil work comes first, and she would never favor any of her brothers. AJ is in the frame, but there is zero facial reaction from AJ. At no point do we go to an actual oil rig. This meeting is the only thing that establishes that they drill oil. Lucas literally just tells us this. That's it. Something important is that the asteroid is spotted years ahead of time based on information from the shuttle strike and Chinese moon data. We find out through video calls. We find out this through NASA individuals walking through hallways and just talking to each other about it. That's it. There's no explosions in space. That's it. There's no fun. So we get 3 years of heads up. We built some spaceships using lots of money that comes from who knows where. And very quickly, we arrive and there's no description, like there's no buildup. We just all of a sudden have spaceships. We go there. There's no interesting scenes. We just land on the asteroid. That's it.
But
Lucas
we're still
doesn't-
training roughnecks to be astronauts instead of astronauts to be roughnecks. We have the same basic premise.
Padawans.
Yeah, like it's implied that they're not paying taxes for the rest of their life. It's just implied. we don't discuss it.
There is a tax resolution, though, a debate about taxation.
So this is when Lucas gets involved because like no Lucas Star Wars film ever really has anything to do with like natural phenomenon. It's all species interactions. It's all choices upon choices upon choices. So the asteroid, we arrive. Oh, by the way, the Dillo is fully CG, fully sentient, and cracks wise jokes all the time. So we arrive, and they start to look for a site to drill on foot. They don't like survey it. They don't do anything like that. They just walk around. They look for drilling spots. And at some point,
Just
Steve
like Ryan
Buscemi-
in college.
Steve Buscemi steps in the poopy.
Oh.
And at that point, they realize that this whole asteroid is a refugee ship
Oh, boy.
headed to Earth, filled with aliens from another planet,
Are you
another
turning
civilization.
this into Event Horizon?
No. I'm
Because
Argue-
you should.
so the aliens invite people inside to chat, and they're like, we were expecting you. They have some discussions, and they say that they steered this ship to Earth because they believe that Earth would rescue them, assuming they have technological prowess similar to them. Unfortunately, we don't, and we get into this dance of, do we save them? Do we save ourselves? Do we both annihilate ourselves? Because that's Lucas. It's this tug of war. They brief NASA. There's this round table. General Kimsey votes to blow it up. The aliens knew the risks. Truman doesn't have an alternative, but says this is the biggest discovery ever, and we should do everything to preserve it. Everyone ponders. Another weird transition. Blah blah blah. I have a lot of notes on this. I just blah blah blah. In the end, AJ wants to like use the bombs to steer it away, and General Kimsey, played by Ian McDermott, is like really pushes him for that, and with the whole concept of like it'll probably blow up the asteroid, and then at some point Truman and Harry talking about orbital mechanics and a single bomb being detonated away from the rest, and Harry sacrifices himself to make it happen, and that's the terrible movie. I want the raw shit that Michael Bay gives me every time.
I think Ben, as much as Ben dislikes that movie, he can agree that if George Lucas had helmed that movie, it would be worse.
Yes.
Okay.
So did Patrick cheat and get to do 2 terrible movies?
No, it's a great movie. I just proved that, Ryan.
I will say he did a feat where he took a movie that some people might consider to be on the bubble of good and bad, but he decidedly made it worse by matching it with a poorer director.
Imagine this: is they're at the Alien Council where they realize that they can't, like, it's going to crash into Earth, or all these aliens are going to die, and Steve Buscemi, playing the Jar Jar character, goes,
"Hey,
wait, Harry, let me get this straight. You're saying people are going to die?"
Oh God!
Your
all right.
Your Buscemi,
I was gonna.
Buscemi impersonation is not near as good as your Herzog impersonation.
I was gonna Oscar.
You overshot your target on that one.
I was gonna Oscar speech play you off, and I think we should have done that before the Buscemi impersonation. I think you were ending on a high note, and I think we've brought this down. I think George Lucas directed the last part of your pitch, and it suffered because of it. But I love that you picked Armageddon as your good movie, and that will win you favor for me forever. All right, great. Ryan, let's do it.
All right, with Patrick walking himself through that gallows, I'm going to keep mine short and sweet for a few reasons. Mainly, I struggled with this one. Great movie with a terrible director. I'd like to think that in my years out of college, I've matured and would study and, be prepared for things. Literally, you gave us like 3 weeks notice on this topic, and I started looking at it today because I just couldn't think of anything at all. And so I get to the point where I'm like, who am I going up against? I know Patrick, he'll
playing your opponent instead of the game. I like this.
Patrick will rope-a-dope you a little bit, but he's going to come in with some fire. Ben is going to do what he does. You're gonna come in with some good content, but I'm like, who are these guys not gonna pick? What? Like, they're not. How lowbrow can I get so that we're not doubling up on the same director? And I came to Jason Friedberg and Aaron Seltzer.
Oh, no shit.
Yes, thank you.
I was like, there's no chance.
I am so happy they've shown up on this twice. I am.
It crossed my mind. Crossed my mind.
When I was talking about it, I kept looking at Ryan because the look on Ryan's face, he was just like, and then he flipped me off, and I thought it's because I was like, well, maybe he just really likes epic movie.
Yeah, I thought that he was a fan of those guys. I read it the same way.
He was like, Meet the Spartans was funny, yo.
But I appreciate it because this is gonna bail me out for something that I was already struggling with. It's great. So I'll let you guess the movie because I literally have no content on this at all.
This is the great movie?
No. Well, yes, it's a great movie by terrible directors.
Okay.
That there's no chance anyone else would pick these directors on this show, so we're not going to double up. So there's no concerns of that at all. So this movie would either be called, in the world of what they've produced, date movie, vampires suck, like these very obvious names. So this movie's either going to be called Poor White Trash, I'd Fuck Me, Cannibal Movie, or
Silence of the Lambs.
No, Cannibal Movie is clearly what it would be. It would be absolutely be called Cannibal Movie. Oh my God.
So
Oh God.
Jason Freeberg and Aaron Seltzer will be remaking Silence of the Lambs.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, yes,
God
yes, 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 yes.
That's what I already said.
I'm not even going to go into all of the bits that they can.
Yes.
Like them.
Do you have
like,
casting for them?
Oh my gosh.
I will tell you the only two
The
casting
weird plexiglass scenes.
It puts the lotion on its skin, or else
So-
it gets the hose again. That's the one character you don't have to change at all.
exactly. No, he stays. The
Ted Levine,
only
yeah.
I'll tell you the only two. So the only two casting changes I've made. Ben touched on this a little bit. Anna Faris is obviously Clarice.
Yeah.
Like there's no
Dumb Clarice.
yeah, there's no way that she can't be. The other one, and I haven't really nailed down where I want him to be yet. He could be one of, 2 or 3 different people, but Dax Shepard for some reason has to be in it for me.
Okay.
Like
That's right.
I just feel like Dax Shepard is in this somewhere.
He's going to be the guy that throws his semen at her.
So my first thought is that's Miggs. Absolutely.
Yeah, Miggs.
Like that dude is jerking off on the glass. And I feel like Dax Shepard is going to give 100% to that.
Method. He's going to go
Bit.
method.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
His semen, like
Yeah,
legit
it'd be real.
semen will be on the glass. Like
Yeah.
he'll turn to Kristen Bell and be like, listen, honey,
Don't
I
you
have to.
Don't you bring her into this. Our other super fan, Greg, will be very upset if you besmirch the good name of Kristen Bell.
Oh
who
no, I
loves
absolutely
sloths.
love Kristen Bell.
Okay.
But I also feel like she would understand. Like she'd understand. Like, no, Dax, I know you need to jerk off on that glass. I get it. Like
In front of Anna Faris.
This
sure.
is going to be back when Dax was not clean. That he would not do this movie in his current sober condition. But back in the day, he'd pop into this one.
You might be right. I
Yeah.
think I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think Hannibal Lecter needs to be played by Chris Elliott.
That's so mean to everyone involved in this. It feels so bad for everyone in that suggestion because yeah. Actually, Chris Elliott would probably be the Ted Levine. He'd be the Buffalo.
Yeah, he could play
No.
Buffalo Bill.
He's
And he'd have
gonna be-
sores all over his face.
No, he has to be. No, Ben's right. Yeah, because Buffalo Bill can't change. Like that
He's
dude
perfect.
stays.
Yeah. There you go.
He could
Like
play
that-
Buffalo
that guy.
Bill's tucked penis. But like it'd be like an actual character that's like, what am I doing here?
Like-
and
like Bruno?
Yeah.
But could you name a movie? Like, could you? Name
I
a
just
movie
made a
I'd fuck
funnier
in?
joke than they will ever make in that movie.
Yeah, he sticks out and is talking. And he sticks
Yeah,
in his
it's-
face, like
It's like, would you fuck me? He's like, no, I wouldn't fuck you. I'm your fucking tucked dick. This is ridiculous. I'll be honest. I would watch that.
it does sound like something that could be in one of their movies.
See,
Actually.
Patrick, what did I tell you? You just throw a couple of things out and let them go.
This is very true. You just light the fuse.
Well, I
and
like
it
to
happens.
listen. I don't know why I'm on. I don't know
You
why.
get Matt talking about tuck dicks, and
Can't stop
you're
me.
not gonna stop. You're
Can't
not gonna
stop.
shut him up.
Won't stop.
Clearly, after 77 episodes, Patrick's like, I like to listen.
I will take.
I like to watch. I like to.
I will take
observe.
consolation that Ben and I picked the same directors because obviously we're both very well well-educated film students that
Erudite
spend a lot of our
film
time
goers.
That didn't Google worst
fine-tuning
directors.
our crafts. We both didn't spend a solid hour today at work Googling worst directors of the 21st century. So, all things to say, I feel real good about what I've done here.
I
And
think
I'm
you did
glad
a good
that
job.
I
I
feel
like
real
that.
glad that Ben made it short and
Did anyone step in
Painless
the
for me.
poopy?
No.
Cool. Move on.
It was funny, Patrick, I had an idea for mine. I was going to do the Coen brothers Armageddon. And it was going to be
still do it.
It was going to
Please
be
do
the
it.
same cast, the same movie, but they're in on the joke so Ben likes it. That was going to be my pitch.
Directors?
It was going to be like that was it.
It's
No,
all
were
the
you
same.
honestly going to do that?
I thought about it, and then I thought about also for Nick, I was going to do Harmony Korine's Forrest Gump, where James Franco plays a stoner who fucks famous white trash figures throughout history. That was the Nick one. And I also was going to do M. Night Shyamalan's Shawshank Redemption, where Red is played by Samuel L. Jackson, Andy is played by Bruce Willis, and it turns out Andy doesn't exist. He's been in Red's mind all along. And then there's a tense scene where one of the prisoners gets a hold of Hadley's gun, and it's really good, but the rest of the movie's not so great.
I want to watch that.
Instead, I went with this. The film is being made in 1999. So
Are we guessing again?
You can try to guess. If you'd like to guess, you can guess.
Is it
I
Face
want a
Off
perfect
again?
score. I want a perfect score.
It is not Face Off again. Benny, played by Matt Damon, has just finished up at the local community college and is living at his affluent parents' pool house. His best friend Daryl, played by Jason Lee, is a common fixture at the house where the two smoke a lot of weed and rank their favorite movie trilogies. Benny's parents throw him a party where everyone gets stoned. Benny stumbles back to the pool house to find a woman there, played by Linda Fiorentino. They get to talking about whether Star Wars or The Godfather is the better trilogy. One thing leads to another, and they sleep together. The next morning, she's gone, and he and Daryl try to figure it out who she is. Daryl remembers getting high and almost throwing up on a hot girl, played by Tiffany Amber Thiessen, and he thinks maybe she knows the other lady. They track her down at the coffee shop she works at and get into a lengthy discussion comparing the type of foam a customer likes to their preference of where to blow a load. It's delightfully vulgar and comedic, and the camera does not move a single time. Benny and the girl hit it off, and they go on a date. She invites him back and says they have to be quiet because she lives with her parents. As they bond, she says she doesn't want to lead him on. She's engaged to Chad, played by Ben Affleck, but she's not really into it. It's her mom's idea. He says, no problem, life is complicated. They start making out in her room, and he removes her vintage Daredevil t-shirt. As he does, he knocks over a photo on her nightstand and picks it up. He gasps. It's a photo of the woman he slept with and Tiffany Amber Thiessen celebrating her sweet 16. He realizes it was her mom who at that moment busts in. They have a huge fight and reference several movies during the discourse. The mom forbids Benny from ever seeing her again, and he goes home and mopes. The next day, he goes to try and say anything her, but he finds that she's gone to her wedding. Daryl says they have to stop it, and they hop in Daryl's vintage 1978 Batmobile, and they head to the church. However, the Batmobile loses a wheel, and Benny has to run the rest of the way. He arrives at the church where the pastor, played by George Carlin, is about to finish the service. He stops it and delivers a 5-minute monologue that incorporates all 3 Back to the Future movies, and then carries her from the church. They hop in the back of the now-repaired Batmobile and drive off to the theme from Fat Albert. Any guesses on the film and director?
I believe it is Kevin Smith's The Graduate.
That is 100% correct. Got it in one.
I'll take Kevin Smith's The Graduate for 100, Alex.
I felt bad because I'm a Kevin Smith fan, but I'm like, if anybody could reduce The Graduate to something not quite as great, it probably would be Kevin Smith.
Jesus.
Especially him taking on a movie that's known for its visual flair and realizing like he's just going to set a camera up on a tripod and watch people talking at one another for 3 hours.
Matt, you're very creative. I love that.
I try. It's all for you, Patrick.
I mean, The Graduate's one of my favorite movies of all time.
I just wanted to
pretty
listen.
easy. Yeah,
I feel like I knew it was Kevin Smith because I kept getting offended at every Kevin Smith movie I thought you were about to pick. I didn't put together that this is going to be Kevin Smith directing.
Yeah.
There were like 3 movies that went through my head. I was like, this motherfucker.
Yeah, I blew my load and said Wayne's World 2 early.
I love that you picked up on the Graduate reference from Wayne's World 2, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Also, one of the single funniest gags.
Got lured.
Like, there were certain parts I was like, is this Mallrats? No. Is it chasing Amy? No.
I almost would have messed you up. I was gonna make the mom a lesbian and chasing Amy it as well, but I thought that was a little too much.
Yeah. Well, next time we'll do Zack Snyder's Chasing Amy.
That'll be a 7.5 hour movie.
It's so long. And every time her girlfriend eats her out, it's like,
it's in slow motion.
Is that Inya?
Mine keeps sounding like Lion King, but that's all I can do right now.
I
Well, I would say, so Patrick, you passed your first test of fire. You walked the coals, and I think you did a fantastic job. Ryan's done this before, so we're not really impressed with what he does anymore. But you're the new shiny one, so we want to give you all of the positive love and feedback from the show. So great job. Let's and I love it. Ben's wife loves it, and that lets people drink because apparently you can't bring her up without drinking. But we want to thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of The New Way, coming in at just shy of an hour and a half. And we'll talk to you next time. Let's do it all together in sync. 1, 2, 3. Cheers.
Cheers.
That counts as 2 drinks.